In this episode, I get to share space and learn from Mr. Matthew Winheim. Matthew Winheim has proudly served his community as a STEM and STEAM educational leader for over 20 years. As a lifelong resident of the Aerospace Valley and an Air Force veteran, his journey is deeply rooted in service, dedicated to both his country and his community. His time at Edwards Air Force Base in the late 1990s was transformative. It was there that Airman Winheim discovered his aptitude for mathematics and a passion for helping others, especially students, excel in it. In 2011, Mr. Winheim was recruited by the Palmdale School District to establish the Palmdale Aerospace Academy as its founding administrator. Over the next 5 years, he served as a site administrator and eventually became the Academy's first deputy headmaster. In 2020, and after stepping away from the Academy for a few years, he was recruited back to provide leadership during a time of significant leadership transition and the COVID-19 pandemic. He says his goal has always been to ensure all students have equitable access to the best, most relevant, and rigorous STEM and STEAM education programs. He holds a master's degree in mathematics education and is a licensed private pilot. Outside of work, he dedicates his time to his wife and kids and his passion for serving those who serve us. For 13 years, Mr. Winheim has served on the board of directors of the Edwards Air Force Base Civilian Military Support Group, known as CivMil, and currently serves as its president. He is also the immediate past president of the Edwards Air Force Base Star-based nonprofit and the founding president of the Antelope Valley Mathematics Council, an affiliate of the California Mathematics Council South. In January of 2025, he was selected as the California State Teacher of the Year and the only educator chosen to represent his home state at the National State Teacher of the Year Conference for 2025. Currently, he has the honor of teaching aviation to middle school students in the Palmdale School District, where he integrates fundamentals of aeronautics with mathematics and scientific engineering principles, aiming to inspire students in underserved areas of our high desert community to aviation greatness. Let's ride. Welcome to On the School Bus with Dr. Space, the podcast dedicated to advancing creativity and innovation in education. Each week, we invite educators, innovators, and creatives from across the country doing the real work in schools to hop on the school bus with me, Dr. Space. Together, we explore what's working. Whether you lead from an office, a classroom, or anywhere in between, this podcast is your vehicle for creative ideas, bold leadership, and strategies that have been put to the test where it counts in schools. Because our children, families, caregivers, and communities are counting on us to equip the next generation for success. Let's go. Incredible professional trajectory. Who is, in your view, who is Matt Winheim?
I'm just a guy trying to help kids get access to the greatest careers on earth.
Wow.
You know?
Yes.
I mean, it's really an amazing place that we get to work with our kids. Nice. You know, I tell people our kids live 2 miles away from some of the most incredible job and career opportunities on the planet.
True.
Geographically.
Right.
Socioeconomically, it might as well be a million miles away.
Right.
Right? So how do we create those bridges to connect our kids into those areas where they might be passionate and really find some good, fruitful work?
Yes, and as a teacher, it sounded like throughout your whole career, you've had the courage to bring forth really creative and innovative ideas for the benefit of students. So whether you were leading from the seat of being a teacher, a site leader, or a system leader, I guess I have two questions. What's your advice? And maybe if you can connect what you did, what's your advice to teachers who are in the classroom, but like you have incredible ideas they want to push forward to help students? What's your advice for them? And then the second part, what would be your advice for school leaders so that school leaders give space to teachers so that they can elevate their voices?
Okay. There's a lot in that, right?
Yeah.
So advice for teachers, advice for colleagues that are in the classroom who want to bring out some creative ideas, right? The first is you really have to focus on what your end goal is. What do you want to affect? If it's I want to bring more projects or hands-on learning opportunities into my classroom, well, what does that really look like? What supplies do I need? What time do I need to plan for it?
Okay.
And then to really really map it out and plan it and say what does this realistically look like practically? And then oftentimes, I don't know about you, but whenever I start off and I'm thinking about things, I tend to be a bit visionary, right? And I'm like, I want everything, right?
All the things.
And you really have to peel it back a little bit and say, okay, what's practical to start with now? And how do you take actionable and realistic steps forward to achieve then that goal, you know? So to my colleagues who would like to innovate and bring some new ideas and things into their classroom in that regard, I'd say, you know, get the grand vision, make it as clear as you can, and then establish reasonable next steps. But parallel with that is you really got to be able to build relationships with your site leadership team, with your colleagues around yourself, because a lot of your colleagues can help out, and they might be of similar passion. Right? And the more we can get our collective body working together on a task or an initiative, the more likely it is to get some traction. Right?
Absolutely. And then what about as a site leader? Because sometimes I'm a site leader, so what if I am a controlling site leader and a little nervous of new ideas happening at my campus? What advice would you give? Because you've sat in both seats. And so what advice would you give to school leaders so that we can support teachers and cultivate that creativity for the benefit of students?
Site leadership is really an interesting one, isn't it? Because you want your folks to be able to go out there and grasp at the apple per se and really make it happen. I mean, I had three fundamental principles that I lived by. It was get the right people, get them what they need, and then get out of the way. To the best of your ability. But you and I both know, you know, there's kind of a needle you have to thread at times, because you have district initiatives that you have to abide by. You have local policy, you have ed code that need to be adhered to, and you know, from my perspective in the classroom, let's say I want to build this amazing machine that's going to help the kids to test out an aircraft. Okay. Well, what's that really look like in a middle school, and what kind of aircraft are you talking about, Matt? Right? You know, let's be realistic now. You know, And are there any safety issues? That's right. We got to make sure that we're
first thing you said middle school, because we're middle school educators. I'm like, safety.
Of course. Yes, that's right. And how do you make it practical and reasonable? You know, I come into that every now and again with the career pathway that we're building over at Sage right now. You know, we're having a 3-year continuum of aviation exploration, careers in aviation, right? So we have hardware that's there. We have RC aircraft there. We have unmanned drones, quadcopters and things. And we also have a need for space. So do we mount these on the wall? Do we mount them on the ceiling? And if you're on the ceiling, well, how sturdy is that? You know, so from an educational leader's perspective, you know, how do we create the conditions, to borrow a phrase from a colleague of mine, how do we create the conditions for our team leaders and our visionaries to be creative, but still have that safety net around
guide
them,
rails,
right? Without being micromanaging, you know, and making sure that they have the support they need, to make what they want to do in their classroom come to life.
Nice.
You know? Yeah. But it's also going to be focused. It can't just be, hey, I just like to do this because this is my thing. You know? It's, here's the student educational need that I'm addressing in this.
And for you specifically, you're at a magnet academy with that focus. You mentioned that you're working on a 3-year program. Can you say a little bit more about that work?
Oh, I can say a whole bunch about that work.
A little bit. Because I'm trying to tap into so much you're bringing to the table.
It's so much fun. You know, I spent so much time in administration, and it was, I learned so much from it. At the same time, I've always been a math teacher, STEM teacher. Can I be honest with you?
Please.
I never really wanted to be an administrator.
Really? Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like you were kind of tapped.
I was. So whatever I do, I'm going to jump in full throttle.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm going to do it to the very best of my ability. I'm like, God put me here for a reason, and this is where I'm going to be. And so I'm going to do it to the very best that I can.
I love that you said that. You know? Okay, so don't forget your train of thought. But I love that you said that too, because even in my work as well, it's about God to me, you know, honestly. And so I want to be here as long as he needs me here until I'm acting not in accordance with what he wants done for his children. So I love that that's part of your thinking as well.
It's a huge, believe I'm not perfect at it. You know, I'm a work in progress.
Yes.
Right? What's that song? It says crooked sticks can draw straight lines.
Right.
So
absolutely.
thank God for grace.
Yes, absolutely.
So, you know, but everything I've ever gotten the chance to work with, I just said, you know what? All right, I'm going to give this 110%, and I'm going to make it go to the best of my ability. And amazing things have kept happening over and over. And so in this regard, now that I get to be back in a classroom, right? And the experiences that I've gotten to grow from, I now get to bring into my classroom. Like, I don't know about you, but when you were in the classroom, it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I got my groove, and I've seen some of my colleagues work and things, and I know how to make my classrooms work. And then when you become an administrator, you get to see hundreds of other educators. You know? And so many things. Oh my gosh, I wish I would have had the chance to just study my colleagues and glean from their best practices before I became a teacher. You know? Because I learned so much from walking through my colleagues' classrooms. What to do and what not to do. You know, both.
Absolutely.
And so now to bring as much of that best practice into this environment, it's almost like, okay, now let's do Winheim in the Classroom 2.0.
Okay.
You know? And I've gotten to kind of reinvent it, you know? And so the focus has always been, how do I help my students understand the why for why they're learning the math that we want them to learn?
That relevancy piece is so important.
Exactly. When I look at how I learned that I could do math, it wasn't necessarily in school. I hate to say it, but it wasn't. I wasn't the best student when I was in school. Number of factors for that, but where I really learned that I could do math was in an Air Force training program. And that was after high school. And I'll never forget it. The instructor pauses in the instruction. And mind you, I was learning about electronics. I never thought I could do electronics when I would have hands-on knowledge with this and learn the math behind it. And he's teaching us about series circuitry. And if you're familiar with series circuitry,
absolutely not.
It's basically you got a battery, and the electricity will flow from the negative to the positive, right? And there's usually some sort of resistance in the middle, and it forms a circuit, right? There are different kinds of circuits, but a basic one is called a series circuit, like your flashlight.
I learned something. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah. And that circuit is governed by what they call Ohm's law, which means that voltage in the circuit is equal to the resistance multiplied by the current in the circuit. So it's an equation. And we were solving at that time for one of the variables in the equation. And I'm looking at that, and I'm watching him do it. I'm looking at your board right here. And I stop, and I raise my hand, and I said, "Sir, isn't that?" And he cuts me off. He said, "It's the algebra your teachers have been trying to get you to understand for the last 4 years, huh?"
Wow.
But I was floored.
One teacher was able to, in one moment,
he just
the way
cut
he explained
right through
it.
Wow. Yeah. It had an application, you know? And I had more of a motivation to learn it too. Right. You know, I really did. I was no longer the 13-year-old squirrely in the classroom doing this, that, and the other. I was a focused 19-year-old making sure that I understood this career field. So there's a difference in that. But it clicked. Oh my gosh! Wait a minute. You mean these equations that we've been trying to solve for years now, that I've been trying to learn how to figure out? They have a use. Well, that changed everything. It was like, oh my goodness, this is a language that I can actually learn, and then I can use that language to solve complex problems in the physical world. Wow, mind blowing.
Now that's interesting, because I think I can see that it is connected to why you were selected as your school district teacher of the year and the state teacher of the year for the state of California, and had the opportunity to move on to the national recognition, we'll say. How does your background influence the way your approach to teaching in the classroom?
So let me just start off by saying I still can't believe that I was selected to represent California. I am so honored to represent California at the National Convention for the 2025 State Teachers of the Year. So many amazing educators that are there. And, you know, when you're selected as a California State Teacher of the Year, you're one of 5.
Wow.
Right?
Okay,
so
I didn't know that.
4 colleagues that are also California State Teachers of the Year, and they're amazing people. So shout out 2025 Teachers of the Year. You guys are awesome.
Right. Love that.
They are, they're incredible. Sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked. Could you repeat your question one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. But what about your background? Because I can read it and I can hear it, but how does that influence you to be the type of teacher that you are, which clearly is recognized by your colleagues and site and district administrators? What's your why? What inspires you to teach in the way that you do?
My why is pretty deep rooted. The short story is that I have a firm belief that in any math class that I'm teaching, I got about 10% of my kids who like mathematics for the sake of math.
Yep.
Great. Right?
Right.
What are our proficiency rates right now in mathematics?
Pretty low.
Right?
Yeah.
10 to 15%, depending
That
on
10%,
where you are.
that's what I was thinking. Those are the 10%
Right?
who consistently come through
How,
in the data.
How do I create opportunities for the other 27 kids in my class? Because if I got a class of 30 kids,
Right.
that's 10%. That's only 3 kids.
Right.
How do I get the other 27 bought in?
Right.
What do I create or do or make around them so that they can see the relevance
Right.
of the math that we put so much emphasis on? Math is so important.
Right.
But do we create relevant and hands-on, realistic opportunities for them to really digest that and see it? Let's make, put your money where your mouth is.
Right. Right.
And I in high school, I didn't have that opportunity. Some of my friends did.
Right.
I did not.
Okay.
And number of reasons for that.
Okay.
But my why for why I teach and what I do is it started, just after. Well, it started in my time in the military.
Okay.
Right at Edwards, and I developed a conviction that I needed to go and pursue a career in education. Okay, but it was kind of squishy. Like, where's that going to go and how's that going to be? Go teach what? Well, go teach math.
Right.
You seem to like it. Go teach.
Right.
All right. So I'll go learn as much as I can about math and things. And then, interesting thing happened. I finished my 4-year tour in the Air Force. Got my honorable discharge.
Thank you.
And then used my GI Bill here locally.
Okay.
About a year after I finished my service, I actually got hired to teach or to tutor as an AVID tutor.
Okay.
Out at Little Rock High School, and it was when they were just starting their AVID program.
Can you say a little bit about AVID, just for people
sure.
who may be watching and aren't sure what that is?
Yeah. So AVID is an elective, and it's designed for students who don't have any exposure or a schema for what it takes to get to post-secondary education and college. And so the AVID elective itself is built to help students learn how to learn,
right?
And brings tutors, brings an organizational structure, takes students on field trips to go see colleges and things. A lot of the things that kids who are college going already have access to because of where they are and who they are.
Yes.
And so the AVID program seeks to really just bring that to students who clearly have the individual determination.
Right.
To really want to dig into that. And so AVID actually stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. So I got started as a tutor for that when they were just starting it over there at Little Rock High School.
Okay.
And the morning that I was driving out to, or the morning that I woke up for my first day in my first year as an AVID tutor out there at Little Rock, I woke up to the radio broadcasting that the first tower had been hit.
I think we all remember where we were.
I get a little
on that
emotional.
day.
Everybody remembers exactly where they were.
I was driving to I was catching the bus. I was on my way to San Leandro High School student teaching.
So you and I don't know about, but I was just floored. Oh my goodness! And then the second aircraft hit, and then there was reports about other activities, and I was still in that window of time after your service when you're in what they call the inactive reserves.
Okay.
So you keep all your stuff is ready.
Okay.
You still got your ready bag.
Okay.
You could be called in a moment. Hey, we need you.
Okay.
Okay. And that as an active duty service member, you know that when you part with the service, you still have an obligation if they need you to come back within a certain amount of time.
Okay.
And so I'm driving out to Little Rock High School. I'm in my little pickup, and all these thoughts are going through my head. My country has just been attacked. My country has been, and I was hot.
Right.
Oh
right.
my goodness.
Yeah,
the testosterone. There's just
let's go. I'm turning this pickup around, and I'm going to go take care of my country.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
And I felt this inner conflict, Dr. Space. I was like, oh well. I'm supposed to go to Little Rock right now. I've been working toward being a teacher, but I'm an airman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm an
absolutely.
airman, and I serve my country.
Right.
And so I pulled over. And I just prayed about it. I was like, all right, God, where do you want me to go? Am I going to go to Little Rock and become a teacher, or am I going to turn this truck around and go defend my country? Right. And just this clarity of mindset came over me. Is that, Matt, you are of better use to your country in that classroom than you are on that flight line right now.
Wow.
And so I say what you want. that's what happened.
Right.
And I took a deep breath, and I put the truck back in gear, and I drove out to Little Rock.
Okay.
And I've been working in education ever since.
Wow.
And now, looking back 24 years later.
God, okay, maybe you were right.
I've gotten to work with an entire district in their math and science programs before they were even STEM. We were working on that. I've gotten to go to let's see, I've gotten to start a school.
Yeah,
right?
That's incredible.
I've gotten to work K through 12.
Wow.
I work with college level educators, right?
Yes.
Building and designing programs the whole way through, and all of it right here in the Aerospace Valley for the most part. And now, think of where we are and what's happening right now, and how the industry of aeronautics and aviation is changing.
Gosh. Yes.
And we live in the Aerospace Valley.
Right.
This is an incredible time to be interested in or even around some of these technologies as they develop. And they integrate artificial intelligence and they're unmanned. And they're, oh my gosh.
Yes.
And I get to teach aviation and planes and drones to kids who otherwise would have no access to any of this.
Yes.
And not only that, but I get to just, hey, if I want to take a field trip, it's a mile and a half up the road, and we can go to Blackbird Air Park, which is a museum outreach operation from the Flight Test Museum Foundation, which is building a museum at Edwards Air Force Base.
Okay.
And they have not one but two SR-71s on display there at Blackbird Air Park. Right? One of those SR-71s was the original SR-71 called the YF-12.
Wow. Okay.
The CIA called it Operation Oxcart back in the day.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because they couldn't talk about it, right?
Oh, how interesting.
It was during that time when it was like, well, what's that thing you got flying up there? What thing is flying out there?
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Yes. How cool. Yes.
And so that's the heritage of aeronautical history that we have here.
Right.
And that our kids can have access to as long as we open the door and get them into.
Right. And I always say just in education, bias next to people who serve and support our country, but educators, I just feel like are the second most important, because one changed life, it changes generations in a family. So that one student who you expose to math and for the first time help them understand that one, they can do it. They're smart enough, because there's some psychological something that happens with students in math where they feel like they're not smart enough to understand and to do it, but you're making it so that they can understand it and they understand the relevancy and how to apply it, and you're exposing them to different career pathways. That's generations of lives that are going to be impacted.
Too? You hit it right on the head. It's a belief system. Do you believe you can do it?
And that's the number one thing, right? That's the number one thing.
What do you believe about yourself? You believe you have what it takes to make this happen? Because I'll tell you what, there is no such thing as a mathematics gene.
Right.
There are some folks who have a higher aptitude than others.
Which is like everything else, though, right?
Yeah. I never knew I could do math or be good at it until I had that opportunity to actually work with it and saw a use for it. It's like, oh.
Now it makes sense.
So now how many more are there who are of that same mindset, who, if we just show them a different way or show them a different application, that it'll trigger some sort of a nuance within them that says, you know what, there is no such thing as a math gene. I'm not dumb. I just need to practice at this. I can get this. And it might take hard. Yes, you're right. It is. It's hard work. It is really hard work.
As is anything you want to accomplish and learn in life.
If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right?
Absolutely. Well, I think it's clear why Matt is the California Teacher of the Year. And so I always like to know, every educator has a zone of genius. And many of us, we're humble. See, this is a trend, I think, on this podcast, that educators are also very humble. And I say one zone of genius, but you have several. But what would you say is your zone of genius? And how has learning it help your students thrive?
So I might need some help from the doctor on this, because I don't think of myself as a genius or having a zone of genius. It's an interesting, and when I saw the question written down, I was like, zone of genius. How am I going to answer that?
What is?
So I can tell you a couple of things that I've discovered that I I can do that I didn't know I could do.
Okay.
How's that?
That
and then we
works.
can go from there. You tell me if I'm getting close to it. Okay. So one has been helping students to see that they have more within themselves than they thought. And even when I was teaching regular mathematics classes, I was still passionate about and able to help a number of students see that yes, math is difficult and yes, you can do it.
Okay.
Right?
So how do you do that? Because that's powerful. And even as educators, when you look at research that, number 2 now, it's not number 1, but just teacher perception of what students can achieve is huge and has a huge effect size. So that's not curriculum, that's not instructional practices, but that can move the needle for children.
Right.
How do you help students see potential or have them tap into who they are and what they can do in the classroom?
We use the phrase growth mindset a lot in education.
We do.
And in some ways it's become a little bit cliche.
Right.
I approach every student from the perspective of every student can grow.
So it's about who you are and what you actually believe about children.
Definitely. I think kids have a sixth sense within themselves. They know if you're full of it or not.
They do.
They
do.
And honestly, I work with middle schoolers, and I love them. And they're sometimes the most challenging group,
right?
And because they'll tell right away, like if I'm not having the best morning, and I'm like, all right, guys, tell me some good things, right? And they're like, oh, come on, Mr. Winheim, I know you're tired this morning. It's like it's true, I am tired, and that's why I have my coffee. Right. We're still going, right?
Give me grace today.
That's right. I love you guys. Keep going. You tell me a good thing now, right?
Right. Yes.
But I work with the kids on a daily basis, and I try to bring that fresh perspective every day. Even if yesterday was just a crummy day and a rough day, and me and that kid didn't get along, and I had to call home or whatever it is, ma'am, I call home, man, your son, your daughter, they have the ability to do it. Today was not a good day,
right?
And so here's what had to happen, and things like that. And there have been times when I've had to apologize.
Of course, all the time.
Hey, you know what? I'm sorry I rubbed you in the wrong way.
Yeah,
my bad. But you got a job to do and I got a job to do.
Right.
So if you do your job, which is to learn, and I do my job, which is to teach, then we got a win-win situation here. Right. And I'll talk to them. Just let's level with it here. Yesterday wasn't a good day. Let's make today a better day. Right? Can we do this? And I think when the kids see that I'm not just like that with any one student, I'm like that with every one of my kids.
It's equal.
All of them. And I try to meet them where they are. So if I have a student who's in the honors program and they are rocking and rolling on the simulations, right? They got the coordination, the dexterity, they're understanding the 4 forces of flight. And I can see them visualizing how if I just roll the aircraft to the left a little bit more, I'm going to be able to actuate my elevator just a bit. I can pull that turn sharper, right? And they're just enveloping it, right?
Students even get that experience.
It's kind of instinctive,
amazing.
When they start to really get into it.
Yeah.
It really is. And yes, it is. It's amazing. And I have some students who have never even really held a gaming controller, let alone an RC controller.
They're expensive.
Or the yoke on a simulator for an aircraft, right? So the idea of, could I drive this? Well, you're not driving, sweetheart. You're making this airplane fly. Come on, bud. This is an actual aircraft. You got to think of it as an aircraft. Let's go. I don't know if I can do that, mister. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Let's get in there.
Yeah.
And coming back to your question, how do I get the kids to understand that they can do more with the mathematics? Every day I just keep coming back to it. Every day I keep coming back to it, and I think it's that persistence which helps them to see maybe that I'm being more sincere. And I don't want to say it's all about me. It's not, because something's happening within them also. But kids respond when they know that the adults in their lives believe in them.
Yes. And so those are the things that I really want to pull out. So it's not about you, but it is about you. And so it is, it's disposition. It's how you genuinely feel, right? So you genuinely believe that students are incredible beings, right? And with the right pressure and support, they can do the math, right? They can fly the plane, right?
Yeah.
And then it's also that authenticity So willing to be authentic and be who you are, because I believe all students, but I only know middle school. So I was in elementary for a short time. I was like, I love them, but I need to go back. We can hug later.
It's different. One of the first times, oh my gosh, it's so funny you bring that up. Bless their heart. So I was given so much grace the first time that I was walking through some classrooms, and they were kindergarten classrooms,
right.
and the kids are just like, wow. So and I didn't realize I made the biggest mistake, because the teacher had worked so hard, and it was kind of toward the beginning of the school year,
right.
still, right? And she had the kids they were focused on her, and they
right.
were in that zone. And so, don't make this mistake. I'm looking out there. Don't make this mistake. So I made eye contact with one of the kids, and it was like I made eye contact with the one,
right.
and then it was just a cute little. I just smiled like you do with any.
Right.
And I smile a lot,
right,
right,
like
let's smile. And so the kid smiles back, and then their friend sees it, and their friend, and it was like this exponential, reaction of boom. Now all the focus is on me, and I can see the poor teacher who's been working so hard, and she's like, oh man. I said, I'm so sorry.
I know.
I think I should probably go.
Right, leave now. Yes,
go.
They are so
Goes,
cute.
We'll talk later. I was like, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Right.
She was so gracious.
But they're so cute. But I think all children, but I only can speak middle school, they do have that sixth sense, but like they know when people care about them and when they don't.
Yeah.
And so your students, when you're authentic, when you truly believe that they can do it, and they sense and know that you care. And I'm wondering, do you feel like your level of care is a little different because this is home to you? Aerospace Valley, Antelope Valley is home to you? Or do you feel like that's just, and I sense it's who
Good
you are,
question.
but I wonder if you have more passion because it is Aerospace Valley and you're very
home.
passionate
This is where I'm
about
from.
this.
Yeah. Wow, I haven't been asked that before. That's a good question. Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. I think also that it comes back to my sense of duty, right?
Okay.
I had friends who did not leave the military, and they chose to stay in and serve, and they got sent downrange.
Okay.
You
What
know?
is downrange?
They got sent overseas, or
Okay,
they got
gotcha.
deployed,
Okay.
or and that the service obligation changed, and it became much more intense for the active duty service members, and still remains to this day. They're on heavy rotations, and they're spending a lot of time away from their families, and they're seeing things that those of us who served in peacetime didn't have to see.
Yeah.
The work's always been dangerous, having an element of active combat involvement changes it tremendously, and I don't speak from the perspective of having firsthand experience with that. I don't.
Right.
But I chose to stay stateside and to serve in this regard, and I think, and I think about that a lot, and I think to myself, I had the opportunity to choose, first of all, and the second is it better damn well matter.
Yeah.
Because I have friends who have gone overseas. And they've come back different people, and they've sacrificed a lot. And so my service here had better at least measure up to something of the stature of what they had to do also. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I come back at it each day, it's like, all right, we got to get back in there. This is my front line.
Yes.
This is where I'm serving. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. And it is the front line. And I have, my boxing gloves because this is a fight. I feel like, for every child and to create amazing schools, no matter a child's socioeconomic status is, but they deserve the best schools.
Right.
And so it's a blessing that they get you.
And it's a struggle.
Yeah,
it
is. It's not easy work.
There are forces fighting against our kids. There really are. And, the stories that they come to school with sometimes, I won't go. You can't make the stuff up.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the idea of just believing in the kids and the kids' belief systems and things. Same thing happens with adults. And when you become a site leader, and you know this as a school site leader, your teams need to know that you believe in them also.
Absolutely.
Right?
1,000%.
And I'm sure. I felt the same way. I'm sure you felt the same way too. You're entrusted with a school. You're the captain of that ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the district needs to give you the autonomy to run that ship, but at the same time, the support that you need with the supplies and things to make it go.
Right.
They got to believe in you. Right. Same thing with our teachers in the classroom. As educational leaders, do we come alongside our colleagues who are in the classroom and day-to-day basis wise come in, you know what? Today was a good day.
Yeah.
Or today was a rough day, but
Yeah.
tomorrow's gonna be better.
Yeah.
Let's figure this out.
Right. Right.
Get the right people, get them what they need, and then get out of the way. Right.
Yeah. Love it. So thank you for that. Yeah. And then I'm going to also add and pull out the school that you're at. The focus is aeronautics.
That's right.
And so I think it's also valuable to, as leaders, not to view every system and every school as, oh, it's just a middle school or, oh, it's just elementary school, but really doing research and connecting with whether it's the superintendent, their strategic vision, or the site focus, so the Magnet Academy focus, so you can be in a place to activate your passions so that you can really view the work as an act of service, and where you can, your gifts, there's space for your gifts and your talents for the benefit of children. So it seems like you connected all of the pieces.
It's incredible that how some of these pieces have come together. And you asked me earlier about the career pathway that we're building. I don't know if I fully answered your question then.
Yeah,
but,
tell us about that, please.
This might be a good opportunity. So when the district floated that there was an open position to teach aviation over at Sage, it perked my interest, right? I mean, I've always loved airplanes.
Right.
I've always loved airplanes. And yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I'm not current though right now, unfortunately. I want to get back into the seat.
And you're creating pilots, so
you're
inspiring the pilots.
That's right. That's right. When I fly, it's a whole different kind of scary.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So the classes that we get to implement then is a 3-year continuum.
Okay.
And grades 6, 7, and 8. And when I was teaching high school and when I was working with high schoolers a lot, it was really difficult to get a 9th or a 10th grader who was kind of checked out to check back in.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's not impossible, but that's just kind of it's an awkward age.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that.
It's that adolescent.
Okay.
It's like you're in the later stages of puberty and all the hormones are still doing their thing. And and sophomores can be a really interesting group
I've
to
heard
work
about
with
that
at times.
They're like our 7th graders in middle school.
At times. Well, and you think about it from their perspective, they come in, they're like, 13, 14 years old. They're like, I got 4 years here, man. I got forever.
That's true. That's true.
And then that first year goes by and they're like, hey, whatever. Now they're no longer the new guy, And then the sophomore year hits and okay, I got my friends. I know kind of the flow.
Yes.
But by the end of the sophomore year, it's like, I'm about halfway done with this now.
Yes. We get serious. Okay.
And so there's an element of, the orbiter is re-entering the atmosphere.
Okay,
they're coming back in,
Okay.
yeah. We're reestablishing communication with them, Like, okay, all right. And you were serious about that, huh? Yeah. I was serious.
Expectations still here.
I'm still serious about that. That's right. Yeah. And so there's a lot of research that shows that if we can get kids to explore career fields around grades 5, 6, and 7. Okay. We're more likely to help them to stay bought in through that awkward stage.
Interesting.
And that we were transitioned from middle school into high school, And so to have the opportunity now to kind of build into something that I've always been passionate about and enjoyed quite a bit.
Right.
And from a mathematics teacher's perspective, aviation is a target-rich environment. I mean, there is so much overlap in aviation and the mathematics that students in middle school have to learn and know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's incredible.
Okay.
Yeah, and you just have to apply a little bit of creativity, and you got it. So we got a grade 6 activity that's happening, or a year 1, I should say, because not all of our students in the year 1 are 6th graders, or 6th and 7th graders. Okay. But it's a way to enter into the exploration of careers in aviation. Wow. Okay. So we have 3 classrooms right now. The third one's not totally built yet. Okay. Or I should say not totally furnished. But we have one class that I use as my main lesson learning area, and we call it the flight lab. I got a whole bunch of hard, black tables, the old science tables, and around the perimeter of the room, I have 8 flight simulators that are all loaded with Microsoft X-Plane.
Okay.
And they got the SATEC yoke and the throttle quadrant and the rudder pedals and things.
I need to come visit.
Yeah,
for sure.
yes,
I'm going to come visit.
Definitely. And it really gives students an opportunity to feel what it's like to fly an aircraft. Now, mind you, it doesn't have the element of turbulence.
Right,
you don't feel
still,
the but I'll tell you what, it's a pretty realistic simulation.
Really?
It really is.
Okay.
It flies and handles just like a Cessna 172.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And that's the environment that we get the kids in there for. So level 1 class actually starts even before that. So I jumped ahead.
No, you're good.
The level 1 class is mainly about unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, and RC aircraft. So next to my flight lab, we have another room 51.
Okay.
That we call the hangar.
Okay.
We call the hangar. So you can kind of see where I'm going here, right?
Yeah.
We got 3 rooms over in this area, and when the place was Aerospace Academy, we actually coined that area was called Area 51.
That's why I laughed.
Right? It was called Area 51. That's where room 51 is.
Right.
Yeah. Bob Deason, I'm talking to you, right? Yeah, he coined it, and so we're able to keep it like that, right? And so now we have this area, and Dr. Howell painted a big runway into there to have the kids be, like enthused when they walk in. You're on the
And Dr. Howell is the principal at the middle school.
Shout out for Dr. Howell. Okay. He's awesome. He's awesome. And I'll tell you, the kids get there and we get hands on with the RC aircraft and learning how to apply throttle, how to roll, how to pitch, yaw, and use those in a simulator environment.
Yeah.
And we work with, I've gotten the chance to work with a consultant that works with the district. He's also a co-teacher with me, or has been, especially in the first years. And I don't know if I can use it.
Yeah, go for it.
So Anthony Campbell.
Okay, awesome.
And he runs has an organization called Aviation Assemblies.
Okay.
Who has worked with Palmdale School District with a number of different aviation type exploratory activities. And so a number of kids, they'll come to me, Mr. Winheim, I got to work with Mr. Campbell last year, so I know all about this.
How sweet.
Get on in here, right? So Mr. Campbell has worked with me for a couple of years now.
Okay.
And now in the 3rd year of this iteration, so we're really fine tuning where and how the students can really optimize their exploration of these career fields.
Right.
And we come at it from the perspective of how do we keep making it fun, right?
Of course.
It's got to be a learning moment as much as possible.
Right.
But at the same time, it needs to be an opportunity for students to grow in academic skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I bring as much overlap with math and science as we can, teach them the organization of how do you keep notes. So all that AVID training I got and things, right?
Yes.
And then we go on some field trips every now and again and get the kids to see that there's this world of aviation all around them. And that's the level 1 class.
Yeah.
Level 2 class, then they would take all of that and we apply it toward flying now hands-on using the yoke, the throttle quadrant, like I told you, using the Microsoft X-Planes. And by the end of that class, the students are actually, I don't know if you're familiar with the term, but they're called flying the pattern.
No, I'm not familiar.
So remember that movie Top Gun?
Yes.
Negative Ghost Rider, the pattern is full.
Yeah.
So the pattern is an actual rectangular pattern that pilots will fly around an airfield to observe appropriate etiquette, because planes, when they bump into each other, it doesn't go well, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's a system of etiquette, so that things stay nice and predictable.
Okay.
And so it's called the pattern. And so by the end of first semester, they're flying the pattern in their simulations, and I have them come over to an airfield over here, virtually, because the simulator can do that.
Oh, wow.
And so we fly the pattern at Fox Field.
Cool.
Right?
Oh, my goodness.
And then once they get good at that, we fly the pattern at Fox Field, and then the next part of the sortie is to fly to Plant 42, which is just south over here. So how do you know your direction? What's your altitude, and what's your rate of speed, and all that stuff, right? Wow. And all along the way, we're talking about things like, your rate of descent or your rate of ascent. And when you think of rates of change, well, that dials right into this concept in 7th and 8th grade that's really important in math, and that's called slope, right? You have the change of your horizontal component with the change of your vertical component.
Right.
And if that's constant, you get a steady rate of climb or a steady rate of descent.
Wow.
And so we map it out, and that's where the kids say things like, "Hey, I saw that in my math class."
Yes.
I'm like,
connection. Yes.
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 That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Very cool.
So that's the level 2 class. Level 3 class, then we're building right now.
Oh.
And the level 3 class.
You're building.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We have the general structure for it already.
An aircraft.
Not necessarily. Well,
Okay.
there are aircraft. But
Okay.
the level 2 class last year was building some RC aircraft.
Okay.
With Mr. Campbell's support.
Okay.
I don't have a whole lot of experience in building actual RC aircraft.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm so glad to have a professional in the
that's
classroom
incredible.
who knows
a
how
great
to
community
do that.
connection as well.
Definitely,
to tap into
definitely.
that
Yeah.
community expertise.
Yeah. And being around the people who are making that kind of magic happen kind of inspires you to grow as an educator also,
Yes.
just in different ways. And so the level 3 class, the district is working on some opportunities to bring in simulators that have virtual reality, right? Have more of the motion with it, a more immersive experience. And then also 3D printing combined with some wind tunnels. And so we're thinking hands-on, how do we test something out?
How cool is that?
And the really cool overlap with that is that we live in the aerospace valley, right? And I say it
I
over
love
and
that
over.
you say that.
I
will always give you credit when I use the term.
It's not mine. It's not,
it's not yours?
No,
Okay.
no. But I wish I could say that was mine. That'd be awesome.
I hadn't heard that. Okay.
They have another phrase that they use out there at Edwards Air Force Base. They call it the center of the aerospace testing universe.
Oh, okay. That's really cool.
Which is
that
super.
Feels big.
I mean, you got to be something like, hey, we are, and you know what? They kind of really
it's
are.
True, right?
It really is.
Right.
And it's all about flight test out there. And so the overlap with this level 3 class is now let's think about what kind of things we know fly, and are there ways that you could, I don't know, build it, make it better, more efficient, lighter, faster, cheaper.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's so much technology that's at our fingertips now to work with, small UAVs and drones and things. It's accessible for the students, right? So obviously we want to make sure that it's a nice, safe environment.
Right.
It's got to abide by FAA regulations because we are in Class Delta airspace right there where the school is.
Oh, okay.
And so there's certain things we have to be observant of.
Okay.
But the kids get to learn that.
Yes.
Guys, today we can't fly.
Right.
Why not? FAA said we can't fly today.
How cool.
Yes. Or guys,
yes.
we can fly, but we have a 200-foot ceiling.
Wow.
Right? Well, why is that? Well, that's what the FAA says we have as a ceiling because we're right next to Plant 42.
You've just expanded their world and level of thinking. So it's not like I'm just coming to school. I'm like coming in this building every day. Like they start to learn like what's around them. Like I can't explain it, but it's a larger
level of
connection.
Contextual awareness.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, that's incredible. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about and I don't know even that I know all of them, but just thinking about the career pathways. Being a pilot, that's a great income, right? So these are high-paying career fields for
tremendous.
these kids.
Well, and think of it like this. The pilot is one person. There are teams of hundreds of people who get that one plane in the air. Anytime you see an aircraft flying, I was a maintainer.
Okay.
And I love it because we didn't have this thing when I was in the Air Force, but I love it. I got to learn about it.
Okay.
I get to hang out with the folks at Edwards a whole bunch with the Civ Mill activity I work with. And go Civ Mill. And the maintainers have a saying. They say, if it's in the air, maintenance put it there.
True that.
Right?
Yeah, true that.
And they'll holler it out. And
I love it. That's true. Yes, yes,
it's awesome.
yes.
And so there's a whole team of maintainers who make that aircraft airworthy to start with.
Right.
There's a crew chief who manages it. There's a load master who gets it loaded up.
Right.
If it's a fighter plane, there's all kinds of other specialties that come alongside to make sure that it's ready to do what it's designed to do.
Right.
And thousands of people who get these things up and running, hundreds locally, to make sure that it's ready for each sortie every day. Everything from flight planners, logisticians. You got a whole budget team and an accounting team because they say there's 4 forces of flight. There's really 5.
Okay.
Right. There's thrust, weight, drag, and lift.
Okay.
But then there's also money, right? Airplanes don't fly without money.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
That's also not mine. I wish I could take it. I don't know who said that, but it was hilarious when I first heard it. That's true. Money's a fifth.
That's very
flight.
true.
Yeah. You got to have something to fund it.
Right. Right. What do you feel like, or what can you guess? Do you know? Like, what are the annual incomes for people who are in aviation? Like a range, like for children or maybe families who are listening who might not have considered that pathway, or really, I want them to really like value and appreciate the pathway that you guys are building at Sage Magnet Academy. So
your average wage for a person who's working in a STEM career field, in the the Aerospace Valley area is in the low 6 figures.
Wow. Amazing.
Right? The low hundreds.
Okay.
I'm not saying 200 or 300,
No,
but the low hundreds.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that
And
clarification.
when you look at the per capita average income across our valley, you see that the vast majority of the households west of 10th Street West, those neighborhoods by zip code, are over 100,000 per household, right? As you go east of 10th Street West, the average household incomes drop quite a bit, right? We know that, right? We see it,
Right.
The average household incomes are lowest closest to the railroad area, right?
Center.
And then they go up just a little bit more as you go toward East Palmdale, right? In that area. So there's kind of this trough. So what does that tell you? It tells you that if a person is working in an aeronautical or aerospace industry, they're most likely living in the west side of town. Okay, all right. Well, we know our valley, right?
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
great, good for them. Yeah, we teach the kids who are in one of those trough areas.
Right.
There's probably nobody in their social environment that's around any of these career fields right now, right? So how do we create opportunities for them to explore these different areas?
Yeah.
Right? Because otherwise they don't have anybody who's just related to them or a neighbor or anything like that.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, it's not all the time, but oftentimes.
No, we're speaking some general.
Exactly. And so it's a really neat opportunity.
It is.
In that regard.
And you and your colleagues, you're doing that, right? And so I think about that earlier moment of prayer when you felt conflicted and you're like, God, what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, where do I go? It all makes sense, right? And just the lives that, you and your colleagues that you're changing for students and showing them their potential and what they can do and giving them experiences to allow them to get passionate and excited about math and about aeronautics. So thank you for that.
It's humbling. Yeah. It's humbling, Yeah. And, I know you share a common interest as well in getting colleagues to work together.
Yes.
Right? Creating collaborative opportunities for teachers, for
we
educators
cannot
to
do
work
this work
together.
on our own. And schools are so siloed. And like you said, when you visit classrooms, when I was a teacher, like you said, you don't get to see. And so that's really a passion of mine, even as an educator. Like, how do I break down the silos? Like, no, you need to see. Like, so what do I need to do financially, and what structures do I need to put in place so that you can see the amazing things happening right next door? So we have to collaborate.
For sure,
Absolutely.
for sure. When you asked earlier about what is it about what I can do or work with students that helps them to see that, I don't think it's just me. It's just that when I'm working with a team of colleagues and a group. I really try to work with the group.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then as we work together, the students going from your class to my class to this class, and we're all saying similar types of things.
Yes.
And we're working to help our students to have these amazing experiences, whether it's just learning, hey, you know what? You're getting ready for your science test. We know you're getting ready for your science test.
Right.
You're going to have Newton's laws on your science test. So we're going to talk about Newton's laws in here, but this isn't the science class, Mr. Wynn. Well, that's true, but I know it's coming up and it ties into our stuff too.
Absolutely.
So now we're all speaking the same language. You know that we all talk.
Yes, right.
We're friends.
Right.
And we can make this happen, right?
Right.
And the kids tend to buy into being part of that environment, and it's that close-knit collaboration in the culture of the school.
Right.
When the educators are working together.
Yes.
Yes.
And
you can tell, you can feel it.
Yes.
When you walk from one school site to the other, you can tell when the educators are working together or not.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, the kids do too.
That's true.
So do their parents.
And we're in control of that as adults.
We are. Most definitely. Definitely.
Shape the culture.
And we have the opportunity to deliver the very best educational program and best educational environment we can to our students, regardless of circumstance,
Right.
when we all work together.
Right. And it's the people that are on the bus. It's not a building.
Right.
It's the people and the energy that's in the building. And I feel like their heart focus and what they're willing to bring. And the space, really, because I've worked for different administrators where I've felt more comfortable sharing ideas, and some that, where there wasn't the space created for that. So as a site leader, we do have that obligation to create those spaces for our colleagues to collaborate. Okay. So California is beautifully diverse, and you've really spoken to this, but how do you ensure that all students have equal access to the incredible programs, to high quality math instruction, but then you're also building with your colleagues a pathway at your current site?
So I think just the fact that this pathway is being built where it is,
So true,
and sustained where it is, and has the district level support
absolutely
where it is,
yeah,
right? I mean, wow, that's huge.
that is.
You know, Dr. Maldonado and the school board are incredibly supportive on this. So shout out to them. Thank you guys.
Awesome school district.
It's great
for
to work for folks who have that passion to see our students and our communities thrive.
Yeah, all of them.
We have an obligation to the parents in our community to deliver the best educational programs that we can to their children, right? And parents vote with their feet.
That's true.
You know, they have
That's
choices.
True. That's true.
They have
Especially
choices.
at the magnet middle schools,
Sure.
they can go wherever they want.
Yeah, exactly. And so that they keep sending their kids to our areas is incredibly validating, you know?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you kind of how I tell my students in class. I say, you know, every one of you is of infinite value. And they get quiet. Like, where are you going with it? Right. I said, every one of you, and it usually comes up when we're building our social contract at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And it's the equity versus equality conversation.
Right.
I said, every one of you is of infinite value, right? And I'm so glad each one of you are here. And that way you are all equal. And look around. You're all different, aren't you? Yeah. Every one of you is different, right? Every one of you is going to have a different need at some time or another. And how I work with you might be different from one day to the next, just based on what I perceive your needs to be.
Right.
Right. Or you might be working with your friend in a different way, even, right? So that doesn't always happen the same.
Yeah.
But in that way, there's a level of equity in how we treat each other and meet each other's needs.
Yeah.
Right. And so both are happening at the same time. You guys see how that works?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay. So that's kind of how I address it with them.
And still always to speaking into them about their potential.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Because when you said that, I was thinking, I wonder how many of them have ever heard that before, that they have infinite value. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
They're incredibly talented.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
love that. But just hearing it, somebody saying that to you. So.
And you know what, you bring up a good point, because oftentimes they don't get to hear that, or they'll hear it and it's superficial.
Yeah.
Oh, you're great. Go get it. Go have a good day. You're awesome. Go have a great day.
Yes.
But you know what? When you get that moment and you get a student who comes in and you can tell they've been having a rough day, and you've been working with them for a few months now, and you come alongside and you're just glad they're there that day.
Yeah.
And I can say, man, I know you're going through some stuff. If you want to talk, I'm here. But I want to let you know I'm glad you're here today.
Yeah. That's huge. It's huge.
You know, let's go. We can do this.
I'm stealing your infinite value, but I'm going to give you credit on the morning announcements next week. They're going to be like, who's this Winheim person
who's
she's
that
always
guy?
referencing? So
he needs a haircut.
Yeah, absolutely not. Okay. In doing their best work, you've spoken to this, I guess, but from your perspective, what can principals, and because of your experience, I'm going to add systems because you've led a school system as well. What can principals and systems do to truly elevate teacher voice and practice?
To elevate teacher voice and practice. So how do we create the conditions for our teachers to really thrive and be educators?
Yes.
Yeah.
As a site leader, and then even because you've
It's tough.
led a charter.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
And I'm stealing from you right now, so I'm taking notes.
By all means. Yeah. Hey, we're all in this together. Yeah. So from my experience, when I first became an administrator, I really wasn't looking to be an administrator, right? And I certainly tried to stay away from being a site leader, right? I really, it just wasn't one of those things that I was like, hey, I want to do that, you know? But it's some of the most important work that needs to be done on a day-to-day basis. And it needs to be done right, you know? When we see a school that's on the rebound, or a school that's really making positive changes in its community, you oftentimes see different layers of support that are happening at that school, right? True. You have support for students who really need additional time,
Right.
Behaviorally speaking,
Right.
How do we help the student learn how to be in a classroom again?
Right.
You have layers of support for students who are just having trouble with the content. And then you have layers of support for teachers who, some are strong, some not.
Right.
But they all have the ability to make positive impact in their environment. So when you ask advice for school leaders, one of the things that I really had to do some soul searching on was I didn't have all the answers, you know? And as an educational leader, when you become an assistant principal or something, you put on that badge, you're no longer a teacher anymore. Right. Nobody could care less about what you say or your opinions. You know, thank you very much. Just help me with this problem. Right. Right. And I was completely shocked by that. I was like, but I've designed I could care less what you've designed. Design me a way out of this problem right now. You know? Absolutely. And I mean, that's the reality of it. And that was hard to grapple with. And I think a number of us kind of wrestle with that because if you go into administration, you go into site leadership, oftentimes it's because you did a pretty decent job as a teacher. Right. And you want to bring that flavor with you wherever you go. And then you're looking around and you're like, not everybody does things the same way I used to do or with the level of detail. Right. And that can be, you know, off-putting at times. Right. Just like when you're in the classroom, you got some who are just rocking and rolling, and some who just need extra support. Right. And you know, there was, I forget what the book was, but the book had a study in it, and an approach to working with fellow educators. Okay. And basically what it was like an instructional coaching perspective, if you will. Yeah. Right. And as you're working with any colleague or any educator, you'd say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 4, how able are they to identify a student learning need in their classroom? And then how able are they to identify a strategy that can best match that learning need, right? So with whatever it is, and say it's just building culture in the classroom, right. Or you walk into a classroom and you give a quick overview and you see, all right, I got a class of 28 kids, 10 are on task, 6 are kind of on their phone, and I got another 8 who are clearly checked out. Right. Okay, writing that data down. The other ones I'm not quite sure, but you know what? When I come back after we've done our observation, we have our professional dialogue. Right. And is my colleague, and I've always called teachers that I've worked with, whether I've been an administrator or not, my colleague. Right, absolutely. Because we're all in this together. Absolutely. Can my colleague adequately identify the areas of need in that classroom? And how able are they to prescribe or think about next steps based on what we've just observed? Right. So being a real scientist of your classroom, you know, what's the science in the education that we're actually applying? Yes. And based on that scaffold, I can know how to best support my colleague, right? Because again, get the right people, get them what they need, and get out of the way. Right. If my colleague needs additional time working with another teacher who's just better at this right now, and maybe even just better at working with this concept than I am, then great. How do I build time in their day so that they can work with that instructional coach and improve their practice, right? And then how do I build them up as a site leader, as an educational leader? Right. I never want to have people leave my school site because that's just, you know, when you got a hole in that schedule and you don't have a teacher who can do that, that's tough. No, absolutely. But the reality is teachers are leaving the classrooms. They are. They're leaving, and it's tough to keep good people in the classroom. It really is. You know? Yeah. So how, and then I have to be able to identify beyond that, are there things that I could have done as an administrator structurally to have given that teacher a better chance at success in that classroom? Right. Absolutely. You know, and Dr. Howe, I got to come back to Dr. Howe. Dr. Howe, come back to you. All right. He talks about the kids hearing the song. Yes. Right? Yes. He's a music teacher. And that's a beautiful analogy. Right? And last year it was really clear. We need to make sure that the kids can hear the song. We all agree. But doggone it, Dr. Howe, there's times when there's 2 or 3 in the classroom who that record's playing and it's going, we're just starting to tap our feet. And I might be a little bit old school here, but it sounds like they're grabbing that needle and just scratching it across the record. Right. And there ought to be something that we can do for those 2 or 3 who habitually keep scratching that record, because the other 24 in the classroom, they deserve to hear the song, the whole song. Yes, yes. And I'd love those other 2 to be bought in. Right. But right now we're trying to do everything we can. It may not be ready yet. Right. Yes, yes. So admin, I need your help on this. Right. I'm trying. Yes. And really, when you see schools that are showing positive improvements and moving forward, and students growing in their proficiency, they have reasonable, practical, and rational steps to intervene with students when they have those types of issues, right? Whether it's a behavior issue, whether it's a social emotional learning issue, whatever it might be.
Yes.
There's something in place that can support that student and support that teacher.
Yeah.
Because you know what, that nobody wakes up in the morning saying, I can't wait for today's lessons to really suck.
Right. Absolutely.
Nobody says that.
No,
you know?
absolutely not.
Everybody comes in, I got this idea.
Yes.
I'm going to make these things happen, especially our new teachers, right? They're super idealistic.
Yes, they are.
And where we as educators can get a bit jaded and a little bit grumpy at times is when we keep trying to bring in new stuff and in a system that is consistently unsupportive or unappreciative, right?
That's key.
And it wears down on you.
It does.
And of course you're going to have folks who are like, yeah, okay, well I tried that,
right? Yeah.
And okay, that's just the reality of the game sometimes, But from you asked about the instructional leader on the campus, the admin teams, and those, how do we identify then how to best support our teachers? So that they can really get their job done.
Right.
Because I believe the vast majority of our teachers really want to see our students thrive. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They really do.
Yes.
And the fact that here in California right now, we have so many students who are struggling to meet proficiency in mathematics and English language arts.
Science.
And there is, and science. And there are so many things that we could be doing in the classrooms that are relatively low-lying fruit, to make it a more predictable, lower the anxiety level in the classroom and really more productive.
And your school that you're at has made huge gains last year. Absolutely incredible. Was it 5 points in math and 11 in language arts? Yeah. That's no easy feat in middle school.
No, it's not. And we still have a long way to go. We still have a long way to go. You know what? One of the really cool things is that we can look at now too is the growth of our students overall. So when I look at student data, I'm not just looking at proficiency. I want to see proficiency scores increase. I want to see a 1 become a 2. I want to see a 2 become a 3. I want to see a 3 become a 4.
Yeah.
And I want to see the 4s maintained.
Yes. Year to year.
But when we look at our overall data, we see a whole bunch of kids who are at the 1s and 2s. And in those ones, every one of those 1s and 2s is a student who's from 2 to 4 years below grade level. 2 to 4 years below grade level. Yeah. That student needs to show growth at 1.5 to 2 years each year they're with us to get caught up. Yeah. Otherwise, that gap is not.
It's going to increase.
Yeah, exactly. So how then do we create? I don't want to say programs because that sounds so generic. But how do we create the opportunities for the students then to grow in their proficiency, but also in a way that's not just, it doesn't have to be like so stale as we're just looking at your scores. What's the purpose? Yes. If all it is about scores, then what? What? Right? Those scores don't mean anything. Who am I as a person? Right. We have to do both.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so I believe that there's a way that we can continue to work within the development of our electives courses that makes the education that students are learning more relevant.
Yes, absolutely.
And more tangible, so that they can see that the math that they're learning is a tool that can be used to solve complex problems, so that they can see that the English language arts that they're developing proficiency in is actually a tool to communicate when you can't just have a face-to-face conversation.
Yes,
right?
Those real-world contexts,
absolutely.
The relevance.
Yeah. And then you integrate AI into the world, not to open up a whole different can. But really, it does become then, how do we converse like this?
Right.
Because this is the part that AI can't do.
Right, correct.
You know what I mean? AI can write my essay for me, but can it write it with my voice?
Right.
Can it write it with my passion or with my perspective on it?
Right.
Maybe if I keep working with it. Yes. But even more than that, oh my gosh, as a math teacher, I know how cool it could be if every one of my kids had a tutor in their pocket.
Right. Oh yeah. Yes.
That can meet them
at,
remember the old term ZPD?
Yes.
Zone of proximal development.
Yes.
Not to bring it back an old one.
Yeah.
So what if that tutor could meet them in their zone of development? Sure. So they're getting access to grade level content.
Right.
At the same time, they're getting help right where they need to be to grow. And then could we develop that on a case by case basis somehow?
Yeah.
And make it safe.
Yes.
I think there's a way to do that.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
There's gotta be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a really exciting time.
It is an exciting time in education.
Yes. Because wow,
really get precise like on our feedback and instruction. Yeah. But I love the connection for school leaders too, and really being thoughtful about. I feel like the budget and the master schedule, that's like the heart of the school. So really getting intentional and thinking about the entire master schedule and the courses that we design and how we can use our elective or magnet focus to really integrate all of the standards and create that real world relevancy for students to help them connect all of their learning,
right?
Similar to what you guys were doing. But the beautiful part too about the data, and I think it's you being humble, again, as an educator, that type of movement doesn't happen without being thoughtful and without great people coming together, working collaboratively in a school environment. So whenever I see those gains, it lets me know like, okay, there are great things happening in that environment that we all need to learn from and pull from. So.
Yeah. And how many times have you been in a staff meeting where you just get hammered by data?
Yeah. Well, I'm a data person, so I probably hammer, but hopefully in a cool way.
But you know what I mean? You come in and you're like, I know, and I see it, but there's little context given.
Yes.
There's not a lens through which we're all looking at
this.
Right. You know what I mean?
So hopefully I don't do that. Let me know.
You know what? There are probably people who are listening to it, watching this, saying, Winheim, you did that. I'm sorry. Again, you're probably right. I probably did. Yeah.
So thank you for that. And oh my gosh, such a great conversation. Let's see. Let me pick because let's see.
Okay. You have a menu to choose from.
I'm doing menu because I feel like my time is limited. So I'm just going to do two more. Okay.
You're good.
So, and I often say this, that teaching and education is about hard work. So teaching is both hard work and hard work. What practices keep you grounded and joyful in the midst of challenges?
Heart work and hard work. Love it. The world of robotics has a great couple of sayings. One of them is, this is the hardest fun you'll ever have.
Okay.
I hope I'm saying that right.
Okay.
I hope I'm saying that right. And then they also have one that is called cooperative.
Oh,
so instead of competition and cooperate, kind of a blend of the two.
Okay.
So what keeps me grounded is recognizing that it is hard work, that there is no silver bullet, There's no magical pixie dust that you can just. I wish there was magical pixie dust.
Rich, I wish I could create
it. As they came in, I'd be like, pixie dust you, pixie dust you. We're all getting some pixie dust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there isn't.
Yeah.
So you have to ground yourself. You have to come back to it and say, you know what? I have room to grow.
Okay. Yes.
I want to grow.
Yeah.
As an educator.
Yes.
I used to obsess over the 4 or 5 that I just couldn't get through to.
Yeah.
And that becomes draining. So there's a mindset there, right? And a mindset that kind of taps into that growth mindset for yourself to say, you know what? Today I made these incremental improvements.
I love that. Yeah.
We're building a career pathway right now in the aerospace valley, and I'm trying to adjust my microphone.
Yeah.
But why doesn't the aerospace valley already have a full-blown careers in aviation career pathway that people are flocking to and flocking to send their kids to?
That could change the community, right? Because we buy, if you have the privilege to be able to purchase a home, we purchase by school.
Right.
Often, if attending private school isn't an option. So that would definitely bring people to our community. Like if we had the best schools with those pathways in place. Love that.
Yeah. I have friends in the homeschool environment. My kids were homeschooled.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, they sometimes ask, hey, Matt, can we take a look at what you have over there now? And I'm like, well, you know what, guys, not during the school day.
Right.
Maybe we can make an appointment afterward. You guys can come through and take a look at stuff, and build those opportunities. Yeah. That wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. When I'm looking at the place that we live in and the opportunity that's available here that we haven't been able to organize and really rally around where the career opportunities are for our kids and get our students access to those with fidelity.
Yes.
It kind of makes me scratch my head.
Yeah.
But that's because it is hard work.
It is.
Right. And the pieces don't always line up.
Right.
And there are different movements that happen, and there are different things that happen, like the Great Recession that happened some years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? That threw a wrench in everything. COVID
Absolutely.
threw a wrench
Oh my gosh.
in so many things.
Yes.
But at the same time, afterward, post those events, we saw that we could be more innovative.
Absolutely.
We saw that we could be more creative.
Right.
The fact that we were able to flip our almost entire learning model into a digital environment,
Right.
and then back,
Right.
That's an interesting study on capacity.
Right.
I don't want to have kids have to stay home, but that we can adjust our learning environment like that and bring those tools to our students so quickly, because before that it was like, well, can we give the kids the computers?
Yes.
Can we give them the well, we better give them the computers.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, they need those. They need to know how to use them.
They do.
Right? And
they
we need to know how
they're
to use
going
them
to be
better.
competing in a global environment. So.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my last question. It wasn't all of them that I wanted to ask you, but
go ahead. Hey,
I feel like you touched on all of them.
We're talking education. I'm here.
I know we can go.
I still have at least half a cup of coffee. I'm good.
Right. Okay, so the last one. So this is just the call to action for leaders. And if we think about leaders broadly, not just administrator, but teachers leading from their seat, custodians leading from, it doesn't matter what seat you lead from, right? It's just a state of mind.
Yeah.
If you could give every school leader in California one charge, one challenge, or one reminder as they lead their schools, what would it be?
This question. This is a fun one. So it's one that I think of a lot.
Okay.
You know, we live in the greatest country on the face of the planet.
1,000%.
And we get to live in one of the greatest states in the greatest country.
Little biased.
in the world. Oh, I'm totally biased. I'm totally biased.
This sounds like facts to me.
Yeah.
So.
And, you know, there are philosophies, there are movements, and there are countries that do not like ours. The fact that we even exist is abhorrent to them.
Right.
And that's God's honest truth.
Yeah, true.
What I would say to our leaders and to our fellow Californians and folks is, you know, if America's number one technological competitor right now is China, the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, only needs to educate 1/4 of the Chinese population, and it will have an entire workforce that outnumbers the entire population of the United States.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Wow. Yeah, we're in a serious
I mean,
fight.
just kind
Wow.
of think about that, right?
Yeah.
We have to be smart about how we do things. We have to be creative. We have to be innovative. Our kids are outnumbered. They have to be smart, creative, innovative, entrepreneurial.
Yes.
At the same time, they need to keep holding true to what's made this country so great to begin with.
Right.
Because if they don't, then who's going to take over?
Right.
Right?
Right.
And I don't mean to say that in like a doomsday kind of a way, because there's good ways to go forward and there's ways to make things move forward.
Not experienced it that
but
way.
I say that just to kind of shine the light on kind of a larger perspective.
This is urgent.
This is incredibly urgent. This is incredibly urgent. Where do we think the ideas and the technological innovations that will fuel future economic surges are going to be developed?
Hopefully here.
Right now, I'd love it to be here.
That's not the case.
And right now in our universities, we have the best universities still.
We do.
But only 4% of our students are pursuing STEM and STEAM career fields.
Yeah.
Compared to 40%
Wow.
that are, our competitor is currently working with.
Right.
And we make an effort to educate everybody. Everybody here.
Free and public
Right?
education.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And you know what? It's an amazing time to be in technology.
It is.
Opportunity. Oh my goodness.
Where we have to think about and do things differently. We can't do things the same.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So if there were one thing I would urge them is that we have the opportunity and the obligation to equip our students to be successful in this new environment of competition. We really do. In a hangar over here at Plant 42, there's a banner. At least there used to be.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've been over there.
Okay.
But the banner read, "Work hard. America is counting on you." And that's over there in one of the production plants, right? And as educators, I think we need to take it to heart also.
We do.
And I think we are working hard.
We are.
Now are we aligning? Are we putting into practice best practices?
Right.
Are we bickering about some stuff that we know we're always going to bicker about?
Right.
You know what? Our
Right.
kids don't have time for that.
Right. They don't.
They don't.
And our leaders, are we creating space so that our colleagues can collaborate? Right?
That's right.
Like you said, get them the resources. Leaders, let's put the structures in place. And I love that you said, get out of the way. And I had a mentor who said, like, whenever a teacher approached him with an idea, it was, how can I say yes?
Yeah.
Right. And so I hope you all are inspired, especially teachers, with Mr. Matt I'll say Winheim. Middle school, I call, we're last name people.
Yeah, we are.
So I'm trying to adjust, but I hope that you're inspired by his courage to just bring forth really creative ideas and your collaborative spirit to work with all parts of a system to do what's best for students. So I just want to thank you for getting on the school bus today.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been fun.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Glad to be here.
All right.